cash and debt. But what I would take away from this is, first of all, don't just do the math. Make sure the math makes sense in the context of the nature of the company. And while you can and often should consider working capital from both a classic and a real world basis, you should make sure that your application of these is consistent with one another. And that means that make sure the way you calculated incremental working capital and excess or deficient or surplus working capital is consistent with all of the other analyses that you've performed, the measure of cash flow in your discounted cash flow analysis, your calculation of incremental cash flow. It can be a little confusing at first. Once you do it enough times, it kind of becomes second nature, but just take the time, particularly if this is a viewpoint that you haven't really applied before. Try very hard to do it so it's as apples and apples as you can. Matt, anything to add to that?
No, I was going to say, the one or two takeaways, from today is to be consistent in the application in quantifying working capital, and then also to be consistent with the definition and level of value to which any adjustment is applied. I see a lot of times of where in a market approach, an analyst or appraiser has calculated a multiple on a cash-free, debt-free basis, and they appropriately they add cash to the value derived from a multiple in that valuation approach. And then they turn around on the income statement, on the income approach, and then they also add cash to that valuation method as well, which would typically not be an appropriate adjustment. And so it's just to be consistent in how you calculate it and appropriate in its application to the valuation methods that an analyst is employing.